Oh, good evening, everyone, and welcome to Friday Night Ghost Stories. If you're watching this live, that's great. If not, most of you will be watching it on a replay, but thank you so much for doing so. Tonight's episode or story time, I think you're going to enjoy. Most of my stories are about local legends, local to me, New Jersey, northern New Jersey. And so I'm going to continue that trend as long as you guys like it, as long as there's interest in it. I'll continue to do that. But I find it very interesting because a lot of these local legends are not documented anywhere. But this one is very documented. People have heard of Shades of Death Road plenty of times, all over the place. But it's so prevalent that it's often been called the most haunted road in America. So there's a lot of stories I'm going to go through about this. So let's get started. Let me play my intro so we can get started, and we will go from there. There you have that. Thank you so much, guys. All right, we did our intro. Now let's go live here. So we have to, of course, start the tradition of lighting our candles because you can't have a ghost story without candlelight. All right, there's number one. And there's number two. As you know, we have our owl candle, and then we have our traditional Scrooge type early 1800s candle holder there. Anyway, what's going on here with this one? Let's see what's going on here. We need some help here. It needs a little help. There we go. All right, now we can shut that off. Now that we have our candlelight, and we can get started. Let me thank everybody who's joined. I really appreciate it. TT Rod, thank you so much for joining. Appreciate it. And thank you for moving your live. You didn't, I would have gladly moved mine. It's no big deal, but thank you so much for doing that. Godfather, excellent. I don't think you've ever been here before. Thank you so much for joining. Cheech is here. Kelly is here. Thank you guys. Really appreciate it. Cinnamon Girl is here. Always promoting channels. That's awesome. Cinnamon, if I don't know, are you a mod here? Let me see. You may not be a mod. I don't know. I got to make you a mod. I don't really know how to do it here. Let me see. No, I don't think I can do it here. But anyway, I will do that eventually. I'll make you a mod after the show. But anyway, thank you all for joining. Let's talk about Shades of Death Road. Now, many of you may have heard of it. If you're from New Jersey, you probably have, because it's quite famous. And like I said before, it's thought of by some to be the most haunted road in America. And there's good reason behind that. And we're going to go through all of that. I'm going to go through it all with you, give you the background, the historical part of this, as well as everything else. Don McHugh, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. Spirit in the Sky is here. Great to see you as well. Thank you, guys. Always appreciate it. Always appreciate it. All right, so let's talk about this. Now, Shades of Death Road is a 6.7 mile long road, country road in Warren County, New Jersey. It goes through Alamucci and Independence Township. Those are the two townships that it really goes through. And it goes up against a park by the name of Jenny Jump Park, Jenny Jump State Park. And I'll tell you about Jenny Jump State Park as well, which also has a creepy history to it. And along that road, along Shades of Death Road, there's something called Ghost Lake. And the road abuts it. And Ghost Lake is part of Jenny Jump Park. Now, just to show you a little bit before I get into the stories, let me just show you a picture right here of Google Earth. Why is it? Let me see something here. Here we go. How do I change that? There we go. This is in Google Earth. This right here, that kind of odd shaped thing that kind of looks like a ghost a little bit there, that's Ghost Lake right there. And the road goes right alongside of it. And let me see here. Let me show you what it looks like, what the lake itself, what Ghost Lake itself looks like, and you'll kind of get why it's called this. I found this picture on Reddit. I don't know if you can see it. It's not a full screen picture. There we go. Maybe that's a little better. Hold on here. There we go. As you can see, this lake is almost always covered in fog, which gives it a ghostly appearance and where the name comes from, Ghost Lake. So quite interesting and spooky type of environment along Shades of Death Road. So let's go back to the road itself, right? Because that's really the origin of all this stuff. Now, the origin of the road name originally was called Shades, and that was because it had these old oak trees and birch trees and elm trees that hung over it like a canopy and shaded the road. So it was called Shade Road, kind of makes sense, right? Then because of all the odd things and deaths that started to happen with the road, Shades of Death was added to the name of the road because it seemed very appropriate because of all this misfortune that went along with this particular line of earth over the years. And we're talking over 200 years of things happening on this particular road in Warren County. And just so you know, for those of you who don't know, Warren County is probably the most rural county, maybe between Sussex and Warren. Both of those are the most rural, I guess, counties in New Jersey. So not heavily populated. A lot of farms, such, and wilderness, woods. So the perfect environment for ghosts and different types of tales to come out of it, legends and creepy things. So let's go back to Jenny Jump Park, which is right next to Shades of Death Road. Jenny Jump Park is named after an old legend that supposedly took place in the early 1700s, late 1600s. Early colonial settlers in the area, supposedly, an old settler and his daughter were hiking through this region, and when suddenly they were come upon by a Lenape Indian tribe band of warriors. and they found themselves trapped at the top of a cliff. And the father, rather than see his daughter ravaged and taken by the Indians, yelled, "Jenny, jump, Jenny, jump." And it said that she actually jumped off this cliff rather than meet a fate worse than death, being captured by the natives, and went to her death at the bottom of that cliff. And that's the origin of the Jenny Jump Park. It's named after that specific legend. No one knows if it's exactly true or not, but it's definitely a legend that has passed on from generation to generation for 200 years. Now, where she fell off the cliff is really where Ghost Lake is now. And at the time, it wasn't a lake. Originally, it wasn't a lake, it was just a stream. And over the years, it became dammed up and it turned into a lake. So, where she met her death was at the bottom of that lake, at the ravine, which turned into a lake eventually, turned into Ghost Lake. All right. So, that's one of the eerie things that happened along this Shades of Death road. The death of this early colonial settler who killed herself basically to avoid the Indians. There's also been many legends about ferocious beasts, cat-like creatures that lived in the woods nearby. And in fact, whether they were mountain lions, cougars, or bobcats, whatever they would be or could have been, if they weren't supernatural, they could have just been regular animals at the time. There were a lot of attacks on people, on individuals by animals there. And as a result, it gained a reputation of being a scary area where you wouldn't go by your own without being armed because these creatures might attack you. So that went on in the 1700s. A lot of animal activity there that was attacking people. And they never really figured out what happened or why it was happening, if there was some type of special reason for it happening or if it was just nature. But there were plenty of attacks on people, settlers in that area by animals. Very large number of them were either attacked or killed by animals. So that brings us to the early 1800s. Now, the early 1800s, it gets a little bit more creepy because what happens is around the turn of that century, turn of the early 1800s, America was kind of run over by crime a bit. It's the new republic was forming. There weren't many police forces. There wasn't the structure in place. The revolution was just one, and they were really forming together government and townships. And as a result, there were a lot of what they called highwaymen. Now, highwaymen were just robbers, villains, people that would get together and rob people when they were alone in the wilderness, in desolate areas. And this particular area, there was a large area of ravine or area where a gang of these individuals decided to live and prey on unsuspecting travelers that came by. And they were known as the Rough and Ready Gang, or at least that's what people were told. That's how people referred to them as. And things got so bad. What they used to do is they used to cut the throats of settlers or travelers, cut their throats and rob them blind, and then throw their bodies into the lake or dispose of them in various ways. So people would disappear. And after time, the locals began to learn that it was because of this gang that was really making it impossible to live in the area. So, as a result of that, around 1803, 1802, a huge posse of locals got together and assaulted the gang of highwaymen. And it's said that they hunted down and captured 42 of these people, 42 of these scoundrels or bandits that were murdering people, and lynched each and every one of them along Shades of Death Road. So if you can picture this, riding along Shades of Death Road in your horse or your carriage, what have you, and seeing on both sides of the road hanging criminals, the bodies of hanging criminals left there as a warning to others to never do this again, that law and order was going to reign in this area. So it's said that 42 people were lynched here by the posse, and that eliminated the crime problem in the area. Based on, obviously, they're all dead. So, hello, Bobo. Thank you for joining. Hello, Gina. Great to see you as well. Thank you guys for joining. Now, and I'll get to the ghosts at the end of this. I'm going to tell you the history first. That's why I like to do this. I want to tell you the history because a lot of these things will turn into origin stories of ghosts, the more modern ghost encounters that people are having. All right, that brings us to the 1850s. Now, in the 1850s, there was a huge swamp in the area, in around Great Meadows. It was, and the locals would use that swamp for various things: water for irrigating their crops, water for drinking, water for all their very nature. Well, something happened around 1850, early 1850s, where the water became contaminated. Nobody knows how or what it was, but people started to die from the water. Whole families were getting sick and dying. In addition to that, at the same time, there was an outbreak of malaria from the swamp, which had so many mosquitoes. Malaria was spreading like wildfire. And it got so bad that the federal government at the time had to step in. And what they did was they ordered the draining of that particular swamp. And that swamp was completely drained because they couldn't figure out why people were dying, and they wanted to control the mosquito population, and that was the only way to do it. So they completely drained the Great Meadow Swamp, and it was vanished from then on, and it never, it never came back again. But that particular epidemic, so to speak, in the 1850s killed many people in the area, and many families, local families, were wiped out. And that too will be an origin story for ghostly activity. Now, fast forward to the 1920s. Now, between 1920 and 1935, there were 3 unsolved murders that took place along Shades of Death Road, and they're still unsolved to this day. Now, the first one took place in 1921, and this was a man driving along Shades of Death Road late one night in his Model T, and he gets a flat. It breaks down along the road. Now, he was a known coin dealer in the area and was known to have gold coins on him, which made him a target. So what happened to him specifically, no one really knows, but he was found in the morning on the ground next to his broken down Model T, and he had been bludgeoned to death by his tire jack, the car jack that he was using to, whoever was there, whoever it did, whatever villain was there, or whatever robber was there, used his very own tire jack that he was pumping up the car to bludgeon him to death. And they stole all of his golden coins that he had with him. Now, that was never solved. No one knows who did it or anything about it. It was kind of a throwback to the highwaymen of the early 1800s, that this crime came out of nowhere. This traveler was besieged and killed, and no one ever figured it out. Hello, Edwin. Good to see you, my friend. Thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate it. Gianni Catalano. Thank you, Paisano. Appreciate it. That's number 1 murder. That was 1921. Now, in 1930, there was a woman who found her husband cheating on her. They lived in the area, found that her husband was cheating on her, and she decided to take matters into her own hands and deal with him. And how she dealt with him was with an axe. And she axed him to death, chopped his head off, and buried his body on one side of Shades of Death Road and his head on the other side of Shades of Death Road. And that's how they found him, in 2 parts along the road. And then the final one was number 3, which is an individual by the name of Bill Cummings. And now Bill Cummings was just a local fellow that lived in the area not far by. And for some reason, he vanished one night. No one knows why or where, what he was doing. He just lived alone. And days later, locals, neighbors were looking for him and couldn't find him. And it wasn't until about 2 weeks when 3 kids stumbling along Shades of Death Road tripped over something along the sides, buried something that was buried under leaves on the side of the road as they were walking along. And it turned out to be the body of Bill Cummins. And he had been shot several times. And there's no motive for the murder, no theft, nothing. So 3 unsolved murders that took place right along that road in the 20s to the 30s. Now, let's go forward again to 1953. In 1953, a group of teenagers were driving in a car, coming back from their prom, had a little too much gin to drink or whatever they were drinking, and ended up crashing into a ditch on Shades of Death Road. And unfortunately, one of the girls never made it out of that ditch and died as a result of the accident. So that's your 4th death, that death, personal known death that happened right there on the road. And that's one that will turn into a story as well. In the 1940s, there's also a story, and I'm sure you're all familiar with Friday the 13th, the original Friday the 13th, which is not too far away. Friday the 13th, Camp Crystal Lake and all that stuff takes place in Warren County, which is right near here. And the basis of that story was a real legend or rumor that had been circling around for decades, that sometime in the 1940s, a mother of a child who had drowned was kidnapping kids from a local camp and taking them to her house, keeping them there, and then eventually they would die. Either she would kill them or they would die. She would basically kidnap them and keep them prisoner in her house. And that was the basis, that rumor or legend or whatever it was the basis for Friday the 13th. If you know the movie, you know that Jason dies in the lake. His mother comes back as the murderer, killing the people, killing the counselors that should have been watching him that could have prevented it. Well, the original legend was that a mother lost her child and that she was recapturing children from that same camp and keeping them at her home. Now, and they called this house that supposedly this all happened in the murder house because people were murdered, I guess, there. Never got out of, the kids never got out of there. Yes, Blairstown is, and you see Blairstown, which is not far from here. Blairstown in the movie itself, you'll see when they're walking through the town, that's Blairstown, New Jersey. So you see Blairstown there, and Camp Crystal Lake there is also there. It's actually in Hardwick Township, which is not far as well from Shades of Death Road. It's all in the same area. And supposedly there was this murder house, which existed until 1994 when it was torn down. And there were stories about what went on in that house and how people tried to investigate what was going on and the weird things they saw. So we'll get to that too. And then finally, the final thing I wanted to mention was in 2005, supposedly. Now, I couldn't find any real evidence for this, but this is a rumor that circulates, and it's been circulating for quite a while, that in 2005, there were thousands of Polaroids found in the woods right off of Shades of Death Road. And these Polaroids were of women. None of them who were smiling, but were all lying on a metal altar. So very creepy concept. What were these photos? What were the purpose of these photos? And these are all different women lying as if they were to be sacrificed, or that they were not very happy where they were, obviously lying on this altar. So very creepy type of thing, like what was going on and why would these Polaroids suddenly appear in the wilderness there. Was someone trying to get rid of evidence or something? It's just so weird. But I couldn't find a news article on it. But that's a rumor that has been circling along Shades of Death Road. So let's talk about the ghosts that go along with these things. Now, the first ghost goes back to Jenny Jump. Jenny herself, the ghost of Jenny, the girl that jumped off that cliff into what is now Ghost Lake, is said to have haunting Jenny Jump Park. Jenny Jump Park is said to haunt it. In fact, people say that they see her. People have said they've seen her walking around the lake and wandering about. In other words, aimlessly lost. Her spirit is lost. And many people have said that they also see the spirits of Native American Indians, the Lenape tribe, that had lost their lives there in that area in battles with the locals, the local colonists who at the time had battles with the Indians over territory, over land, over goods, what have you. And in Jenny Jump Park, there are a series of caves, and one of them is called the Fairy Cave. And you can visit this. You can look it up. It's pretty cool looking. You can look it up, and in there, there's been archaeological digs that found that the Lenape would use this cave as a trading post. So it was definitely an area where the local Native Indians used as a base of operation and such. They had a real close tie to the area. And even though they were eventually driven out by the colonists, spirits of their lost were still there. And many people say that on very foggy nights or rainy nights, you can see the spirits, the outlines of the spirits of the Lenape on the lake, walking on the lake. Now, remember, the lake wasn't there yet. It was just a stream. So these spirits are walking on what they thought was, I guess, the land at the time. And I have an artist's rendition of this, if I can get it here, to show you what people have said they've seen. People have said they've seen this on foggy nights. Let's see. Let's see if I can get it. Where did it go? Here it is. That's pretty creepy. Now, this is the land here, and then the lake is over between the trees, beyond the trees, and they see spirits, the body shapes of spirits walking through the fog on the lake, which is really, really creepy, if you ask me. So anyway, that's what that is said to have happened. The ghosts of the Lenape Indians are there. Now, people also claim to have seen, remember the story of the Highwaymen and the Rough and Ready gang and how they met their demise at the hand of the posse. People say that on windy, cold, foggy nights, again, the fog off of Ghost Lake, they see images of people hanging from trees. And people think that these are the residual spirits of these men who were hanged there for their crimes, swinging in the breeze from the trees along Shades of Death Road. So 42 of them lining the roads. Some people claim they've seen them. So quite a creepy sight to see, I would think. Then there's also their stories in the woods around there, which relate back to that epidemic or that large death that occurred in the early 1850s, where they see wandering spirits of families just wandering through the woods, people that lost their lives for that mysterious poisoning of the water and the malaria that engrouped the area. So that also takes place. Now, in terms of the murders that took place in the 20s and 30s, there hasn't been any ghost sightings to those. Those are just eerie things that happen there and are still unsolved. Those three murders are still unsolved. But the car crash, the 1953 car crash, that has produced a spirit. And the spirit that it has produced is the spirit of that girl in her prom dress that never made it out of that ditch. People say on rainy nights they see her walking the road in the prom dress, and people will actually stop thinking that it's a person walking along the road in hopes to help them in the dark. And then when they come back, there's nothing there. But they swear they saw that that girl walking along on in her prom dress along in the rain, and people stop in hopes of helping this person, but there's no one there. It's simply the spirit of this hapless girl that died in this unfortunate accident that took place in 1953. So those are the ghosts. You have the ghosts around the lake, which are Jenny Jump herself, the Lenape Indians. You have the ghosts of those that were hanged and lynched, the highwaymen, the criminals that were lynched by the posse, and then you have this prom queen that lost her life in a car accident in 1953. Now, since then, there have been plenty other accidents along this road, and I'll see the reports of them a lot in my local papers because I'm so close to it, where you'll hear about teenagers getting into accidents there. And there was one not too long ago, where someone in Hackettstown, a group of teenagers in Hackettstown, got into an accident on this road. Now, there's no lights on the road. And because of all these legends, it's an attraction. So people tend to go there and do stupid things at times and get themselves into trouble. So I would just say, if you're interested, I think it's a great place to visit. Jenny Jump Park seems beautiful. I've never been there, but I'm going to go there. It looks beautiful to me, so I want to definitely go there. But if you do, just be careful in the area, because the road itself could be treacherous. It's a winding road. It's all covered by trees. There are no lights. And when that fog comes off of Ghost Lake, it can be very treacherous to drive at night. So that's the story there. So for a culmination of all these things, as well as the murder house, right? The murder house is not located on, or wasn't located on, Shades of Death Road, but that's the one that's linked to Friday the 13th. And the story behind that is that house, people would go there, kids would go there to sort of experience what happened, see if they could get any ghostly activity because there's this rumor about this woman that was capturing these kids and keeping them captive, and eventually some of them died there. But the rumors, or the stories that go along with that house before it was torn down in 1994, was that people, when visiting there, would go there and the mailbox would burst into flames, and they would run away, and then they'd come back and the mailbox would be fine. So it was just some type of illusion where the mailbox was burning away. So there you have all of our ghostly activity and weird things that happen, along with legitimate murders along this particular desolate road that have made several people call it, or refer to it as, the most haunted road in America. So quite an interesting thing to look into, if that's your if that's your thing. I find that very interesting. So I think I want to check it out more for myself. Hi, Vincent. How are you? Thank you for joining. And that's my story for tonight, folks. Shades of Death Road, the most haunted road in America. And it's not too far away from any of you guys who are in New Jersey. It's something that's part of our history, and something worth looking into. And another thing I wanted to mention about this is it's an aside, in Jenny Jump Park. Now, many people claim that they see in Jenny Jump Park along Ghost Lake, along the sides of Ghost Lake, the shores of Ghost Lake, that footprints will appear miraculously on their own in the mud along the shores. And it's said that these are moccasin prints. Now, and if they're moccasin prints, they're most likely Lenape Indian footprints, right? So maybe the spirits are manifesting themselves and you're seeing the prints of them along the shoreline, but many people have seen the footprints of moccasins along the road there. So that's the story, guys. I hope you enjoyed it. Tony the Night Owl, how are you? I haven't seen you in a long time. Thank you for coming in. I really appreciate it. Bobo has a family. We had a family and friends live in Hackettstown. Yeah, Hackettstown is just 3 miles away from me. I know plenty of people live there. So yeah, so if anyone has any questions, I'll be happy to answer them. But that's the story. It's a pretty creepy road, and I think if you're interested in this stuff, check it out. It's worth looking into. And like I said, Jenny Jump Park, it looks very beautiful to me. I definitely I'm going to go there because I love to be in the outdoors and look at parks and experience parks and hiking areas and such like that. So thank you, Gina. I enjoy doing it, so I really appreciate that. And thank you, Cinnamon. You too. Thank you. Yes, TT. Yes, smash the like button if you would. That's helpful. Thank you. I really appreciate it because a lot of people will be watching this on replay, and the only way YouTube gets it out is if people press that like button. And I know some people doubt that, but it's true. The more likes you have on it, the more I've seen that. The more likes that my shows get, a lot more residual watch time, watch hours or times or views after the show closes. So thank you for that. Just clicking that like button does help. Thank you so much. When it's a foggy, rainy, stormy, except yeah, something, yeah, you know, well, either way, right, Tony? It's either something weird in the environment or it's the senses. The people's senses are changed because of those things. Those type of environment have a negative impact on the human psyche. So either it's something in the environment that we live in that changes, or it's something that the environmental change changes us and makes us do bad things or makes us see things or what have you. So it could go either way, and I'll buy either one of those. But yeah, there's no doubting it. Foggy, cold, rainy, windy atmosphere, it's bad things tend to happen and unexplainable things tend to happen. It's past Bud Lake. Yes, you got to go past Bud Lake if you're on 46. 40 Route 46 goes around right along Bud Lake. Go past Bud Lake, um, about I don't know, 5 miles from there, something like that. 7 miles, something like that. Oh, thank you, Godfather, Godfather. Thank you. Appreciate the compliment always, and thank you for coming. Thank you for joining and listening in. I really appreciate it. The fish hatchery's gone, Bobo. I mean, it's still there, but it's not used. Yeah, I know exactly what you're talking about. It's still there. It's still there, still fenced off, but it's not. It's not being used. Thank you, Cheech. Really appreciate it. Hey, you guys commenting make it fun. Thank you. I appreciate it. Thank you, Bobo. I try. I keep trying. I think eventually I'll run out of them. Right? I'll eventually run out of stories. Then I'll have to make them up. At that point, I'll have to start making up stories when I run out of actual ones. Thindu is in the house. Fell asleep. I know. I can imagine. I know it's late, my friend. I get it. You went on late today, though, Thindu. I missed your show because I didn't even know it was on. Big Bones, how are you, my friend? Good to see you. I didn't know you went on late, really late for you. So I wasn't even paying attention to YouTube. I did not know you were on. The fish hatchery is not on 46. It's on 57. It's on 57. Ah, working overtime. Ah, I see. Making the big bucks. That's what you got to do. You do what you got to do, my friend. Just in case anybody's interested in what I'm drinking, this little drink here I made prior to the telecast, as Edwin would say, and it's called Fields of Gold. And it's a drink that's made with honey, oranges, and bourbon. And it's quite a tasty little drink. But it's called Fields of Gold. Hey, Stiggs, how are you, my friend? Thank you for stopping in. Really appreciate it. 15 people hanging out. Thank you, guys. Really appreciate it. On the phone with Gerard. Oh, okay. Gerard. I hope he is well. Always hope he's well. He's a great guy. Fluffy in the house, as Thenda would say. Fluffy is in the house. Yes, exactly, Cinnamon. Tell Gerard we all said hi. The eastbound lane on the corner of what? What? Where are you talking about? Eastbound lane on the corner of what? Because you're probably thinking about. I'm just trying to think what would look like a fish hatchery. There's a lot of marshland next to Bud Lake. Maybe that's what you're talking about. And that's on the eastbound side of 46. Oh, 31 and 46? That's really far up. That's really far up. That's not Hackettstown. I don't know what town that is. I think that might be Washington, Warren County. Wait, I'm sorry. What did I miss here, Gianni? What did I miss? Who's not doing well? Gerard? Oh, very, very bad. Oh, ill. That's not good. Oh, that's terrible. That is terrible. That is just terrible. I don't want to hear that. Yeah, TT. Yeah, take the picture. Absolutely. Yeah, sure. And there might be another fish hatchery for all I know. Maybe that's where they moved it to. The one I'm talking about is actually in Hackettstown, and it's on 57, and it's not in use anymore. The Muscanet Kong is on one side of 57, and the hatchery's on the other. So, and there's actually on the Muskie side, that's where there's a lot of people that go fishing there, and on the other side was the old fish hatchery, and it's kind of it's an embankment that's up, and there's a fence around it. Yes, we will definitely pray for Gerard. Without a doubt, we will pray for him. Oh, wait a minute. Oh, because he was disrespected. Oh, am I all right? I'm sorry. I'm just kind of following different things here. I'm not catching everything as what's been going on. Well, thank you, Johnny. Oh, I'm glad then he's physically okay. Oh, that's awesome. Good. All right, good. Yeah, he shouldn't listen. Whatever goes on in the drama area, I don't know why anyone would allow that to bother him or bother them, I should say. Don't you have to just ignore that. You have to just extract yourself from that stuff completely. And whatever they say, let it roll away. Let it go with the wind because that's all it's worth. It's worth nothing. So I wouldn't waste a second thinking about it. I wouldn't waste a second of the precious time we have on this planet thinking about YouTube nonsense. Exactly, Tony. Worthless, as worthless as you can possibly get. Um, yeah, Bud Lake. I have never gone fishing on Bud Lake, but a lot of people do, and I see a lot of people doing windsurfing on there too. At certain times in the summer, you'll see a bunch of people on there. It was big and ice fishing, a lot of big ice fishing. It hasn't been cold. We haven't had cold enough winters to have ice fishing though. But I would see people on Bud Lake with ATVs, driving ATVs on the lake and setting up camp, drilling holes, and doing a lot of ice fishing. So it was big for ice fishing. So there's definitely tons of what do you call pike in there and bass and trout. All three are in there. Hey, Gerard, thank you for stopping in. Really appreciate it. But yeah, I mean, New Jersey has a lot to offer in the rural side of things, the outdoor activities and stuff like that. You just got to look for it. Yeah, Cheech, it's actually the Bud Lake is the largest natural lake in New Jersey. In other words, it wasn't dammed up, wasn't man-made, it just existed. And there's a lot more bigger. There are many more bigger lakes in New Jersey. Lake Apacong is bigger, but they're man-made. Like they were dammed up and made. Bud Lake was natural. And Bud Lake is named after one of the settlers in the area, Bud, who owned a lot of land in the area. And the only reason I learned this is because I bought an old map of the area from the 1700s. I found it on eBay and I bought it, and or it's like a replica of one. It's not an actual map, but it's a replica of one, and it shows you the land parcels, and a lot of them are owned by someone by the name of Bud, Budd. So that family, one of the original settling families, is what Bud Lake is named after. That family. Gerard, of course, we all care about you, buddy. We really do. We appreciate you wholeheartedly. We appreciate your intelligence as well as your heart and commitment to people and caring about people and trying to help people. We all appreciate that very much so. So don't ever think that these other fools mean anything. The people in this chat, the people in Tommy Stiggs's groups, those in TT's group, Theendu's group, those are the people that matter. And they're not going to disrespect you and treat you poorly ever. Yeah, I don't. I mean, I know there's some stuff going on in there in the chat about. I don't know, but I don't really want to get into that stuff at all. All I could say is that it doesn't belong in any of our shows, and in our community, it doesn't belong here. That's it. Period. Oh, yeah, God, others. Yeah, yeah, Gerard. Yeah, God comes first, of course. Sure, absolutely. Oh, I think I know what you guys are talking about because I saw that come up in my feed and just before I went live. So I think I know what you guys are talking about. That's right, Theme Dude. Let's stick to Casper. Casper. Or Jenny Jump. Jenny Jump's ghost is pretty cool. Or the prom queen's ghost. Or the ghost of those hanging guys, those villains that were hanged and lynched. Or maybe the ghosts of the Lenape Indians. Who knows? All those ghosts are much better than the drama queens on YouTube. What's your question, Tommy? Go ahead. What's the question? I'm waiting for the question. Gerard, I just went through a whole bunch of stories. Donnie Lee, welcome. I don't think you've ever been here. Thank you for coming in. Oh, yeah. Well. The headset, how does it work? Why do you use it? Is it something I should try? The headset, I use it because it makes my voice clearer. And when I go back and I listen to some of the broadcasts, they're clearer with the headset and the mic. Now, I don't really need the headset part of it, but it came together. That's the only reason I have this on. I'm not listening to anything. I'm not listening to anything other than my voice. So, and we're not communicating verbally, so I don't need to listen to anything. But it just came as one set, and the closeness or the proximity to my mouth makes it clearer. And I think many people have said that it's clearer. It's a clearer discussion of the voice, clearer hearing of the voice with this, as opposed to just talking into the laptop. I have a laptop. That's where I do this from. I don't have a camera. Camera's in the laptop, and the mic is in the laptop. So it makes it problematic from that angle. Some of the older broadcasts were a little bit harder to hear because they were not mic'd. That's why I use this. I think it's the same as your mic. It works probably the same as you have. You have the lapel mic, and I think that's just as well. I wouldn't go to this if you have that. It's the same thing. If we were on the panel together, you would hear it through that. Yes, that's right. That's right. And when we were doing the wine tastings, yes, it was better for me to hear you through this than just the open laptop mic or laptop speakers. Yeah, I'll drop the link if you want to. Sure, why not? The link should be there, I think. There it is. Isn't Casper the Pillsbury Doughboys' cousin? I probably. Who knows? They do look alike. Absolutely right, Gina. 100% correct. All right, here we go.
So
hello.
Hold on a minute. Now, let me see something here. So you hear me through your earpiece right now, right?
And I hear you beautifully through this.
Wow, yeah. That's probably awesome.
Mm-hmm.
I think I got to try that. Now, like you said, my lapel is pretty clear.
Mm-hmm.
The audio is pretty clear on it, and I've been using it for a long time, so you know that. But
yeah,
but that's a great thing.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, it's good for conversing with people on here, definitely, because you can hear them very clearly, and they can hear you very clearly. So it's
right.
It's cool.
Nobody around you has to hear you, just in case the family's around or anybody's around.
Mm-hmm.
They don't have to hear it.
Right. Exactly.
So what is that? Bluetooth? It's Bluetooth?
No, this is wired actually. It plugs in. It plugs into the. It's the
Plugs in.
cheapest one. It's the cheapest one.
Okay.
It plugs in.
USB.
Yeah, yeah,
Well, mine's
yeah.
USB. Yeah, yeah, mine's USB.
Mm-hmm.
This is USB. Yeah, no doubt. You're better off, kind of,
Mm-hmm.
because the signals and all of that. But
Yeah, and I had some trouble too outside when I was
yeah,
doing some outside. I had some trouble with that, so this just makes it
okay.
a lot easier. And thank you, Bobo, for that comment. I never thought of myself as having a radio voice, but okay, okay, sure.
Well, the voices get enhanced when you do use a good microphone. It has a way of crisping your words.
Yes, yes.
It could change your voice and the way you speak actually. So
Mm-hmm.
you know
Right,
what I mean? I speak fast sometimes, so if I have a far away microphone, the words can get lost. It's right here, so it
right.
catches everything, which is good. All right, so you had a good show?
Yeah, it was good. I thought it was good. And anybody who wants to go back and listen, it's certainly a good investment of time because I went through the history of everything and
Good.
told you the ghosts at the end. So it's a fun little clip.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah.
All right. Sounds good.
So
All right. I wanted to jump on. I just wanted to talk a little bit. Say I
no,
missed your
thank
show.
you.
I wasn't around. I was out.
No,
I was
listen, it's
in
a Friday. I get it. I
no,
get
no,
it.
no. I was in that other show. I had a disaster. I had
Oh,
to
you
handle
actually showed up to that nonsense, huh?
immediately.
Okay.
Okay. Immediately. I saw my name. I go.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know what I mean? I got to do it.
Yeah.
Some people say you shouldn't. Some people say you should. Everybody has their own opinion. Until
Right.
it's you, you don't know how you're going to react to it.
Right. Right.
And
Hey, no
everybody does
judgment.
their.
No judgment. Uh-uh.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
not for me though. I don't think I'd ever
Not.
do that, but
I would
it,
never want you to even
yeah.
look at this
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
I think I handled all those things pretty well when I go up. So I think I did
Mhm.
okay. So anyway, we'll leave it at that. All right. I'm getting off.
All right.
Have a good night. And
Thank you.
TT, have a great show. I'll try and check
That's
in.
right.
I gotta get out of here. I know it's late already, but I gotta get out of here. I gotta run.
All right. Thank
All
you.
right, later, guys.
Bye-bye. Yes, that's a great point. TT's show is coming up right now. It's 3 minutes to TT's show. So we're going to wrap it up here. 10:30. Oh, TT, you changed it to 10:30. Okay. All right. All right. Chris Trock, how are you, my friend? Thank you for coming by. You're waiting for a spirit to show up in the background, Donnie? Well, my ghostly friend is not here today. I have to bring him back. He's in the basement. I'll have to bring him back next time. He'll reappear next time. He's been here in the past. He was here during the Halloween season, but he'll come. I'll bring him back. He's a good co-host of mine. Okay, TT. Sure. 10:30, man. That's late. Oh man. For me, I'm an old man. I go to sleep. I feel like going to sleep at that time. But I will definitely jump in for a little bit. Definitely tune in. Absolutely. But yeah, I hope everyone had an excellent time at my show tonight. I think I thought it was fun, but that's just my opinion. I really enjoy telling the story. I really enjoy setting up the background, and quite frankly, I enjoy kind of preserving these word of mouth stories. That's what kind of gets me. I like the fact that there are these word of mouth stories out there that are not written anywhere really. And now I'm putting them someplace where they'll sit. They're sitting on an internet. They're sitting on where people can listen to them. People can hear these things. Years ago, these things would be conveyed by word of mouth. But today, because of modern technology and the way society has changed, it's not happening as much. They're not having the campfires where they're telling these stories. They're not handing these stories down. Everything is just so quick and so fast these days. So I think this is kind of cool to put these stories online. So it's there somewhere. If anyone ever wants to hear them, they're preserved. So that's kind of like my altruistic goal here, is to take these word of mouth legends and theories or rumors and stories and put them someplace where people can hear them in the future. So that makes me feel good to have done that. And I also enjoy interacting with you guys and telling you the story. As long as you guys are having fun and like listening to me, then I'll continue to do it because it's what I like doing. So, Bobo and Thindu. Thindu, you're going for a record staying up this late, huh? You're real arm distance. How are you, my friend? Haven't seen you in a while. Great to see you. I'm so happy that everyone is stopping by. That's all I really care about. Stopping by and saying hi. That's really cool. I really appreciate that. And so does my friend here. What do we call him? Edgar? Right? I think we called him Edgar. I think that's what we called him, Edgar. And then the Raven was named Poe. Thank you, my friend. Don't do that stuff. Thank you for that. I really appreciate it. So unnecessary. Not necessary, my friend. Just being here is enough for me. Believe me. Yes, Gianni, build the guild. Exactly. Build the guild. Vincent, what's going on at 7 a.m.? I don't know. I missed something there. Something going on at 7 a.m.? Yes. How about the hold on. How about the Raven? Do you like the Raven, TT? There's the Raven. Both of them, I think, are very cool. Thank you. Yes, thank you, Jeannie. Gina, I appreciate that. And Tony likes them both. Yeah. Yeah, I do too. I got them as a package deal. I got them both together. So they're great for my bookshelves. You know, that's what I love about them. And I really love this candle holder, man. It's so cool. It's all brass, and I got it at a estate sale, and it was only $5. You know, it's just so perfect for these storytelling. Johnny's grabbing another bottle. Oh yeah, absolutely, Cinnamon. Yes, yeah, absolutely a plug for TT shows. You will never ever see any type of drama there, and the trivia shows are cool. And they're Tuesday. I forgot that were Tuesdays, right? Tuesdays, yeah, they are cool. Oh, thank you, Gina. Appreciate it. Just don't jump like Jenny jumped. You can jump, but don't jump like Jenny. Oh, Gianni has this homemade stuff. You know what, Johnny? I have my homemade stuff that I haven't even cracked one of them, I don't think. I haven't cracked any of them from last September. Before you know it, it's going to be time to make them again. And I didn't drink any of them. So I don't know. We'll see. I said that I was going to do a tasting of that, and maybe I will. I'll do a tasting of my homemade wine. I just got to get a bottle to Stig's, and then we could do that. We'll schedule that. Jenny the Jumper, yes. Tony, you have carved wooden owls. Oh, so you're big into the owl, right? You're obviously you're big into the owls. I love owls. Owls are great birds. Arm Distance opened the bottle on Easter. Cool. You have a raven. Yeah, guarding the stairway. Nice. Deborah Roberts, how are you? Thank you for stopping in. Appreciate it. Yeah, I mean, I'd tell you where I got these, but um, and I got them for pretty cheap too. You know what I got them from? That site that I didn't even know it at the time. It was when it first came out. There's a site that turned out to be a Chinese site. It's from China. Temu. Temu. When it first came out, I had no idea what it was, but I saw it was an ad for these two together, these two things together, and it was very cheap. I forgot what it was, like $5 or something crazy cheap. And I ordered it, and it took a long time. It took like a month to get here, but it is what it is. They came, and there were. I wouldn't use that site now because I've heard all bad things about it or concerns about it, but I didn't have any issue with it at all. Yeah, Temu, correct, Kelly. Yep. Hmm. Yeah, Johnny, it was fine for me. I haven't ordered anything else, but that was when it first came out. I ordered these two. They came in it took a month, and they came. But I wouldn't, because I've heard people just raising concerns about that site. It is from China, and who knows? You're gonna steal $20. You're gonna leave $20. uh, It does. It does have a lot, Deborah. Yeah. Yeah, it has a lot of stuff. And I think what they do is I don't know what the gig is there. I don't know what the shtick is, but they underprice goods. That's why you get them for so cheap. They do that on purpose. I don't know how what that translates to them making money somehow in another way, but they do underprice goods. You can't get things cheaper than there for some reason. Bobo, I basically stopped those, but I'm willing to do, a homemade one, certainly. But I stopped those for a couple of reasons. Number one, I can't drink wine that often because of medical issues. And number two, because YouTube demonetized all of my wine tasting videos because they don't like wine, I guess. It's okay to smoke pot, I guess, but you can't drink wine. Yeah, I don't know, whatever. But it was just aggravated me, and I stopped doing it. But I will do if something strikes me, I'll definitely do it again. I just don't do them routinely. I don't do them routinely on Thursday like we used to. Oh, you buy jeans from there? Really? Hmm, interesting. Yep, free shipping. Yep, the shipping was free. Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, arm distance. It's absurd. The platform is absurd. I don't know who runs it, but their logic, whatever they do, defies logic. Doesn't make any sense. They demonetize all of my videos that have wine in them, and then I have to go through this certification process for each one of them to prove that it's to certify that it's not for kids or children weren't drinking it or I wasn't promoting it or so. I don't even understand it, but it's not worth the effort. Period. It really isn't. Oh, excellent. Thank you, TT. Yes, I'm going to wrap this up and everyone's going to go over to your show. So get ready. You got about 20 minutes. So get yourself prepped and we'll all be over there to tune in and continue the camaraderie. So anyway, thank each and every one of you for joining. Really appreciate it. As always, build the guild, press the like button, share, whatever you want to do. Really appreciate it. Like I said, I enjoy doing this, and I'll keep doing it as long as you guys want me to do it. I will do it. So thank you. Can't do it without you. You guys are the best. And as always, I say God bless. Thank you for watching. And remember to build the guild. As I blow out my candles, have an awesome evening. See you at TT's.